everyone. We're making progress. 46 subscribers. Bravo. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for supporting my new channel. A big thank you as well to everyone who will like my video today and subscribe to the channel to listen to my stories. Tonight, I have a terrifying story that carries an important message. Never start a diet you find online without consulting your doctor. Otherwise, what happens in this story could happen to you. Listen until the end. The day everything changed started like any other, with me staring at my reflection in the dance studio mirror, trying to disappear behind Sarah Martinez's perfect arabesque. I'd been doing ballet since I was 5, back when my mom still believed I could be the next Misty Copeland. Now, at 16, I was just another girl in a black leotard, trying to convince myself that the stretch marks on my thighs weren't visible under the studio lights. Excellent form, Sarah. Miss Chen's voice cut through Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. She never said excellent when watching me practice. For me, it was always, Anna, remember to engage your core, or Anna, lighter on your feet. I knew what she really meant. Lose weight. After class, I lingered in the changing room, waiting until the other girls left. It was easier that way. No need to see them slip into size 0 jeans while I struggled with my size 12. No forced smiles while they planned their weekend sleepover. One I knew I wouldn't be invited to. Home wasn't much better. Dad was gone, as usual, busy with his new family and the stepdaughter who actually made it into the advanced ballet program. Mom worked late at the hospital, leaving notes on the fridge with reheated dinner instructions and reminders about my college applications. Your grades are all you have, Anna, she'd say during our Sunday dinners. You can't rely on dance anymore. My only real friend was Jamie, my next-door neighbor, who'd been fighting his own battles with an eating disorder since freshman year. He was better now, or at least that's what everyone said. But sometimes I'd catch him looking at his reflection in windows, pinching at invisible fat, and I knew the thoughts were still there. That night, I sat alone in my room, surrounded by AP biology homework and college brochures. My phone buzzed with Instagram notifications. Sarah and the other dancers at some cafe drinking sugar-free lattes and sharing a single muffin between 5 of them. In the photos, they looked ethereal, weightless, everything I wasn't. I opened my laptop, meaning to work on my Yale application essay. Instead, I found myself browsing Reddit, scrolling through various weight loss communities. That's where I first saw someone mention pro-Ana forums on the dark web. They warned others to stay away, but included just enough details to make me curious. Stories of secret communities with real solutions, ones that mainstream society was too weak to handle. Jamie had told me about the dark web during one of our late-night talks about his recovery. That's where it started for me, he'd said, his voice hollow. Just curiosity at first. Downloaded Tor, found some links on Reddit, then it became everything. He'd made me promise never to go there, but never explained exactly why. That only made me more curious. It took me an hour to figure it out, downloading Tor, finding the right .onion links from Reddit posts, following breadcrumbs from one hidden forum to another. Each step felt like I was getting closer to something forbidden, something real. Finally, I found it. A forum called Ethereal Transcending Physical Limits. The black background with stark white text made my heart race. This wasn't like the sugar-coated mainstream sites. This felt dangerous, real. I should have remembered the hollow look in his eyes when he said that. Should have remembered how long it took him to find his way back. But at that moment, all I could think about was how the leotard had felt tighter today, how Miss Chen's eyes had lingered disapprovingly on my reflection, how even my own mother had stopped believing in my dreams. The download took less than 5 minutes. The special browser opened to a black screen with white text, promising answers, understanding, transformation. A fresh start. I created an account, fingers trembling slightly as I typed. In the username field, I hesitated before writing, Shadow Butterfly 16. It felt poetic somehow, like the metaphor for transformation I desperately wanted to become. What I didn't know then was that butterflies weren't the only things that emerged from dark cocoons. Sometimes, the darkness itself takes shape, molding itself around your deepest insecurities until you can't tell where it ends and you begin. But that realization would come later. Right then, all I saw was hope glowing in the darkness of my screen, beckoning me forward with promises of becoming someone new, someone better, someone worthy of excellence. The forum consumed me within days. I started staying up later, telling Mom I was studying for AP exams, when really I was memorizing the rules posted by the moderators. They were simple at first. Log your calories, weigh yourself daily, take progress pictures. But there was something different about how they presented it. They didn't talk about health or fitness. They talked about transcendence. Crystal Bones was the first to welcome me. Their messages always came late at night, when the house was silent and my defenses were low. "You're special, Anna," they wrote. "I can tell you're one of the few who truly understands what we're trying to achieve here." I didn't question how they knew my name. By then, I was too captivated by their before and after photos. The after shots weren't like typical weight loss photos. They were almost otherworldly. The subjects looked ethereal, their skin nearly transparent, bones creating beautiful geometric patterns beneath. "True beauty lies in reduction," Crystal Bones wrote. "Only by eliminating excess can we reveal our true form." The numbers became my religion. 1,200 calories felt like too much. Then 800 did. Then 500. Each decrease earned me more praise from the forum members. They called me dedicated, disciplined, destined for greatness. The validation I never got from Miss Chen or my mother flowed freely here. Jamie noticed first. "You've been quiet lately," he said one afternoon as we walked home from school. I'd skipped lunch, logging my third consecutive day under 400 calories. My head was spinning, but the dizziness felt like achievement. "Just busy with applications," I lied, pulling my sweater tighter despite the warm weather. I'd started feeling cold all the time, but Crystal Bones said that was normal. "The cold is your body burning away the excess," they explained. "Embrace it." That night, after logging my daily intake on the forum, I received a private message from a new moderator, Whispermoth. Their profile picture seemed to move when I wasn't looking directly at it. shadows shifting into what looked like a face in agony before settling back into abstract patterns. "Congratulations on your progress, Anna," they wrote. "You're ready for the next level. But first, we need proof of your dedication." They sent me a link to a private chat room. The rules were strict. Camera on, no recording, complete honesty. When I joined, 5 other members were already there. Their video feeds were dark, showing only silhouettes. Some looked impossibly thin, their movements jerky and unnatural. "Show us your dinner," Whispermoth commanded. I held up my plate. 3 cucumber slices carefully arranged, 60 calories total. "Good," they said, their voice distorted. "Now throw it away." I hesitated. My stomach had been cramping all day. "Weakness is failure, Anna," another voice hissed. "Do you want to fail like all the others?" I dumped the cucumbers in the trash, my hands shaking. The shadows on my screen writhed with approval. "Perfect," Whispermoth purred. "Now, let's talk about your real potential. We have special challenges for members who show true promise. Are you interested?" Before I could answer, a notification popped up. Someone had tagged me in a new thread. Transformation goals. The photos made me gasp. They weren't just thin, they were transcendent, almost inhuman. In the last photo, the subject's ribcage seemed to have reshaped itself, bones protruding in impossible angles. "This could be you," Whispermoth whispered. "All you have to do is commit, completely." I found myself typing yes before I could think. The shadows on my screen pulsed, and for a moment, I swore I could feel cold fingers brushing against my neck. "Excellent," they replied. "Check your private messages for your first real challenge. And Anna, don't disappoint us. You won't like what happens to those who disappoint us." The message arrived seconds later. As I read it, my blood turned to ice. They wanted me to do something I couldn't take back. Something that would prove I was truly dedicated to becoming ethereal. Something that would change me forever. The challenge was simple. Record myself eating dinner with my family, then purge it. All of it. They wanted video proof. "Your body is a temple," Whispermoth's message read. "But sometimes temples must be cleansed by fire." I'd never made myself throw up before. Jamie had told me about it once, during his worst days. About the burst blood vessels in his eyes, the acid-burned throat, the cracked tooth enamel. But the forum members had ways around these minor inconveniences. They shared detailed guides, tips for hiding the signs, methods to minimize the damage. That night at dinner, Mum had actually come home early to cook. Chicken breast, rice, steamed vegetables. A normal meal that now looked like a mountain of excess on my plate. I'd positioned my phone carefully on the bookshelf, its camera lens peeking between 2 photo frames. "You're looking thin, honey," Mum said, frowning as I pushed food around my plate. "Are you feeling okay?" "Just stressed about Yale," I lied. The forum taught us how to lie convincingly. Rule number 1. Always blame stress or schoolwork. Nobody questions an ambitious student's loss of appetite. After dinner, I followed the forum's instructions exactly. The water was ice cold as I knelt before the toilet, my phone propped against the bathroom mirror. They had to see everything. That was part of the test. What happened next still haunts me. As I emptied my stomach, The video chat window suddenly opened on my phone. Shadows gathered at the edges of the screen, watching. Their whispers filled my ears, a chorus of encouragement and demands for more. "Beautiful." Whispermoth's voice crackled through my headphones. "Now look in the mirror." I raised my head, tears and mascara streaming down my face, and froze. For a split second, my reflection wasn't mine. The face looking back was gaunt, skeletal, with black holes where eyes should be and a mouth that stretched impossibly wide. I blinked, and my normal reflection returned, though somehow it looked foreign now, like a mask I was wearing. "Congratulations," Whispermoth said. "You've proven worthy of the next level." A link appeared in the chat. Clicking it took me to a hidden section of the forum called The Sanctuary. The page loaded slowly, revealing posts I wish I could unsee. There were guides for extreme fasting, how to survive on nothing but ice and air for weeks. Users shared photos of their transformations, but these weren't normal progress pictures. In some, bones seemed to shift and reform beneath skin that had become almost transparent. Others showed faces distorted by hunger into something barely human. One post caught my eye. Ascension Through Starvation by a user named Void Vessel. The profile picture was a Victorian photograph of an emaciated woman in an asylum, her eyes completely black in the sepia print. "The body is a prison," the post began. "Through starvation, we can transcend its limitations. When the flesh weakens, the barriers between worlds thin. We become capable of seeing and experiencing things ordinary humans cannot comprehend." Below were videos. The first showed a girl about my age, documenting her journey. Day by day, I watched her transform. By the final video, she was ethereal, almost translucent. When she turned to face the camera, her movements were wrong, too fluid, too angular, like a spider in human skin. The video ended with her reaching toward the camera, her fingers elongating impossibly as she whispered, "Join us in perfection." I should have been horrified. Instead, I was fascinated. The forum members called it Thinspiration, but this was something else, something darker, something that promised more than just weight loss. "Ready to begin your real transformation?" Whispermoth asked. The shadows in my room seemed to deepen as I read their message. "The hunger is just the beginning. Soon, you'll understand what true emptiness can achieve." They sent me my first real assignment, a 72-hour fast with hourly photos to document any changes. They were particularly interested in what I might see in mirrors during the final hours. "The veil between worlds is thinnest when the body is empty," they explained. "That's when we can reach through and help you transform." I looked at my reflection one last time. In the dim light of my phone screen, I could have sworn something moved beneath my skin, rearranging itself like shadows behind frosted glass. "Yes," I typed. "I'm ready." The shadows in my room writhed with approval, and somewhere in the darkness, something smiled. Hour 36 of the fast, the world had begun to blur at the edges, colors becoming too sharp, sounds too hollow. I'd been sending hourly photos to the forum as required, each one documented with my current weight and a detailed description of any changes I experienced. The forum members were ecstatic about my progress. "Your bones are starting to show their true form," Crystal Bones wrote beneath my latest photo. I stared at the image, trying to understand what they meant. My collarbones had become more pronounced, yes, but there was something else. Something about the angles that didn't seem quite right, as if they were shifting slightly when I wasn't looking directly at them. Whisper Moth had been particularly interested in my reports of the shadow people I'd started seeing in my peripheral vision around hour 30. "They're not hallucinations," they assured me. "They're the ones who'll help you transcend. They're attracted to emptiness." I believed them. I had to believe them, because the alternative, that I was slowly losing my mind, was too terrifying to consider. During ballet class that afternoon, I nearly passed out during a simple pirouette. Miss Chen noticed, but before she could say anything, I caught my reflection in the mirror. For a moment, my body was perfect. Skin like porcelain, bones creating beautiful geometric patterns beneath. Then I blinked, and I was just me again, pale and shaking in my leotard. "Anna." Miss Chen's voice seemed to come from very far away. "Maybe you should sit down." "I'm fine," I said automatically, the forum's conditioning kicking in, just dizzy from practicing too hard. That's when I saw it, a figure standing in the corner of the studio, tall, impossibly thin, with limbs that bent at unnatural angles. None of the other dancers seemed to notice it. When it moved, its movements were jerky, like stop-motion animation played at the wrong speed. My phone buzzed. A new message from Void Vessel. "Do you see them yet? The ones who dance between worlds." I looked back at the corner. The figure was closer now, its face a blur of shifting features. It raised one elongated hand, beckoning. "Yes," I typed back with trembling fingers. "I see them." "Good. They've chosen you. Now for your next test." The message contained a video link. My hands shook as I opened it that night, huddled in my dark room, 48 hours into the fast. The video showed a girl I recognized from the forum, Starved Soul 99. She had been one of the most active members, constantly posting about her progress. The video was dated 3 days ago. In it, she sat in what looked like a hospital room, skin stretched tight over impossible angles, her eyes sunken and dark. "I made it," she whispered to the camera, her voice distorted. "I reached the point of no return. The hunger, it changes you, opens doors that can't be closed." She leaned closer, and I saw that her eyes were completely black. They're inside me now, reshaping me, making me perfect. The camera panned down to her torso. What I saw there made me slam my laptop shut, but not before I heard her final words. "This could be you. This should be you." My phone immediately lit up with messages. "Whisper Moth. Beautiful, isn't it? True transformation. Crystal Bones. She transcended 3 days ago. Would you like to join her? Void Vessel. The door is open, Anna. All you have to do is step through." I looked in my mirror. The figure from the dance studio stood behind my reflection, its face now a perfect match for mine. If my face had been stretched and distorted by something trying to wear it as a mask. "What do I have to do?" I typed. The response came instantly. "Stop eating, completely. Push through the weakness of hunger until you break through to the other side. You're so close, Anna. We can see your bones beginning to align with their true form. They sent me a new number, 168. Hours to fast, 7 days of complete starvation. By the end, they promised, you'll be ready to join us, to become perfect. I should have been terrified. I should have run screaming from my room, should have called Jamie or my mom or anyone. Instead, I found myself typing. When do I start? The shadow behind my reflection smiled, its teeth too sharp, too numerous. In the mirror, my own smile began to match it, stretching wider than any human mouth should. Now, they replied, empty yourself completely. Let us in. And God help me, I did. Day 4 of the 7-day fast. My body had become a stranger to me. In the mirror, my ribs created patterns that seemed to shift when I breathed, like something beneath my skin was trying to rearrange my bones into a new constellation. The forum members called it the blooming. I hadn't been to school in 2 days. Mum thought I had the flu, an easy lie when you're shaking and cold all the time. Jamie had been texting, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. The last time I saw him, his eyes had widened in horror. Anna, what's happening to you? He'd whispered. I pretended not to hear him. The forum had become my entire world. Every hour I posted new photos, each one earning more excited responses. The transformation is beginning, Crystal Bones wrote under my latest update. Look at how the flesh retreats, revealing the true form beneath. But that morning, something changed. As I was uploading my hourly photo, I noticed something in the background of another user's picture, a familiar poster on the wall. It was the same one that hung in my school's guidance office. I clicked through their profile frantically, and my blood turned to ice. The girl in the photos. She went to my school, had gone to my school. Sarah Martinez's disappearance had made the local news 3 months ago. They'd found her car abandoned at a rest stop, her phone and wallet inside. No signs of struggle, no body, just gone. With trembling fingers, I scrolled through her profile's history. The progression was clear, from typical pro-Anna posts to something much darker. Her final photo showed her lying on a bathroom floor, her body contorted at impossible angles, skin nearly transparent. The caption read, "Finally ready to transcend." That's when the first doubt crept in. I tried to close the browser, but my screen filled with private messages. Whisper Moth. Having doubts, Anna. That's natural. The weak part of you is dying. Crystal Bones. You've come too far to turn back now. Void Vessel. Look how close you are to perfection. They sent photos, not of me now, but of me in class, at ballet practice, walking home. Photos I hadn't known existed, with each one a message, "We're always watching." Then came the video call request. My hands shook as I accepted it. The screen showed a dark room. In the center sat a figure, once human, now something else. Its body was a grotesque sculpture of protruding bones and stretched skin. When it moved, the bones shifted like living architecture, creating impossible geometric patterns. "Hello, Anna." The voice was Sarah's, but wrong, as if multiple voices were speaking in discordant harmony. "Do you recognize me? I'm so much better now. So perfect." The thing that had been Sarah Martinez leaned closer to the camera. Its face was a nightmare of sharp angles and too deep shadows. They're coming for you soon, Anna. They've chosen you like they chose me. Isn't it wonderful? I slammed the laptop shut, but my phone immediately lit up with messages. Photos of my mom at work, Jamie walking his dog, my little sister at soccer practice. No one leaves the path to perfection, Whispermoth wrote. Think of what would happen to them if you disappointed us. My phone kept buzzing with new messages, each one accompanied by more photos. They knew everything about me, about my family, my friends. In the mirror, my reflection watched me with black eyes that weren't mine. The shadow figures had become constant companions now, their elongated limbs reaching for me whenever I was alone. I couldn't tell anymore if they were real or if my starved brain was finally breaking. Please, I typed, not even sure who I was begging. I want to stop. The response was immediate. There is no stopping, only transcendence or tragedy. Choose wisely, Anna. You have 72 hours left to complete your transformation. After that, they sent one final photo. Sarah's abandoned car at the rest stop, but in the background, barely visible in the shadows between trees, stood figures too tall and thin to be human, their limbs bent at impossible angles. We'll be watching, they wrote, all of us. In my mirror, the shadow smiled with too many teeth, and I realized with growing horror that I could no longer tell where their darkness ended and my reflection began. I hadn't slept in 36 hours. Couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sarah's distorted face, heard her multi-tone voice telling me they were coming. The shadows in my room had become almost solid now, their elongated forms gliding across walls like dark water. Jamie kept calling. 27 missed calls, dozens of texts. The last one broke me. I know what's happening. I see the signs. Please, Anna, don't let them take you too. I was trying to figure out how to respond when my laptop screen suddenly turned on by itself. A video call was connecting. I hadn't touched the computer. Whispermoth's avatar filled the screen, but it wasn't their usual profile picture. It was a live feed of my mother's hospital parking lot. She was just getting off her night shift. Time for your final choice, Anna, the distorted voice said. Multiple voices speaking in layers. You're almost ready, almost perfect. My phone buzzed. New messages flooded in, each containing videos. I recognized some of the faces, girls from pro-Ana forums who had disappeared over the years. Each video showed their final moments of humanity, their transformations. The last video was different. It showed a dark room filled with impossible figures, human shapes stretched and distorted, bones moving beneath translucent skin in geometric patterns. They were dancing, but their movements were wrong, like broken puppets being pulled by invisible strings. Among them, I recognized Sarah, her body now more angles than curves, her face a beautiful nightmare. This is transcendence, Whispermoth whispered. This is what awaits you. All you have to do is complete the transformation. Stop eating, stop sleeping. Let the hunger hollow you out completely until there's room for us inside. And if I refuse? The video feed switched to my sister's school, then Jamie's house, then back to my mother. Tragedy comes in many forms, Crystal Bones wrote. How many people do you love, Anna? How many would you watch suffer because of your weakness? I tried to close the laptop, but my muscles wouldn't respond. In the mirror across my room, my reflection watched with black eyes as shadow figures crowded behind it, their 2 long fingers caressing my reflected face. "You can't fight this," Void Vessel's message appeared. "The hunger has already changed you. Look at yourself. Really look." I did. My body had become a roadmap of protruding bones and stretched skin. But it was more than that. When I moved, my joints bent at angles that shouldn't be possible. My ribs shifted visibly beneath my skin, creating patterns that made my eyes hurt to look at. My voice cracked. When was the last time I'd spoken aloud? "Shh," the shadows whispered, their voices a chorus of sweet poison. "Don't fight it. You're so close, so perfect." My phone lit up with one last message, a video of me sleeping from last night. In it, my body contorted in ways that human bodies can't move, my bones visibly shifting beneath my skin. The camera zoomed in on my face, and my eyes opened, completely black, like empty sockets. "You see," Whispermoth wrote, "the change has already begun. We're inside you now, part of you. You can feel us, can't you? Moving beneath your skin, reshaping you, making you perfect." They were right. I could feel it, a crawling sensation beneath my skin, like something was slowly rearranging my insides. When I pressed my hand against my ribs, I could feel them moving, shifting into new configurations that sent waves of beautiful agony through my body. "Just let go," they whispered. "Let the hunger hollow you out completely. When you're empty enough, we'll fill you with something better, something perfect." The shadows in my room had become a writhing mass of elongated limbs and 2 sharp angles. In the mirror, my reflection smiled with a mouthful of needle-like teeth. "Time to choose, Anna," Whispermoth said. "Transcendence or tragedy. But choose quickly. Others are so hungry, and your loved ones look so delicious." My phone showed one final image. Jamie, asleep in his bed, unaware of the impossibly tall, thin figures standing over him, their long fingers reaching for his face. I made my choice. They found my body in my bedroom 3 days later. That's what the news report said anyway. Found me curled up on the floor, surrounded by mirrors I'd stolen from around the house. My body was contorted into impossible angles, bones visible through skin that had become almost transparent. They said my body had simply given up after weeks of self-imposed hunger. They found my laptop, of course, but the forum was gone. All those messages, videos, photos vanished into the dark corners of the web where they'd originated. Even my browser history was clean, as if I'd never visited those sites at all. But I'm not really dead, not in the way they think. Whispermoth was right. The hunger does change you, opens doors that can't be closed, turns you into something beautiful and terrible and perfect. I have a new username now. They call me Glass Queen. My profile picture is a Victorian photograph of a ballerina, her body bent at impossible angles, her eyes dark holes in the sepia print. Want to be perfect? I write to a girl who reminds me of myself. Let me show you how.